Finally off work. Look at that beaut. Look at that beauty. Gorgeous. Let's get her fired up. Whew. Fired right up. Sounds so good. Got that full Acropovic. One of my favorite bikes. CP3. Gorgeous. Everything about it. Love it. Well, let's get on the way home then. Da-da-da-da. It's a sweltering 89 degrees. It's like 94, give or take, with the air. And I'm dying. Woo. Let's see. See if we can get some better audio. It's still going to be windy. I just know it. I got this air vent flipped up now. I got some music playing, but I'm on a naked bike. It's almost mandatory. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the old FZ09 and also do a test on the microphone. So I picked this up used, marketplace, as you should. I picked it up for $5,000. It's got 12,748 miles, and I've put about 250 of those on here. And in the last 250 miles, this thing has been a dream. It's got a few modifications. The guy did it tastefully. He had a perfect service record. I mean, perfect. There was nothing wrong with this bike. He bought it day zero from the dealership he worked for, and he has ran it since. He's done every single service you could think of. All the tunes. He's got the ECU mapped and reflashed or whatever it is. He's got all kinds of goodies put on this. It's less twitchy, still pretty twitchy, but it makes sense. This thing is just 10 out of 10. It's windy as hell out today. I have never been so happy with a motorcycle in my life. I ended up selling my V-Strom. I had an 02 Suzuki V-Strom, and that, I mean, it was the best decision. I really loved the front windscreen of the V-Strom, don't get me wrong. Love how quiet it was. There was really no issues when it came to that bike. It was an 02. It was, I think, the first year the V-Strom was. And I think it was just time for an upgrade. I had had it for a few years at that point. Still love the bike. The guy I actually sold it to had always wanted that as well. He had a Honda, or a Kawasaki Z125, and it was one of his bikes that he wanted, so I kind of made his thing come true, his little dream, so to speak. And I went on about this. This wasn't really ever a dream bike, but it was on the list of bikes I want before I'm done riding motorcycles. But back to the motorcycle itself. Like I said, it's got 12,000 miles on it, and it has been just perfect. I obviously didn't put all 12,000 on it, but I love it so much. I think these make 100 horsepower, maybe 95 horsepower, something like that. Out of a 3-cylinder, that's pretty damn good. I think it's 65 torque, something, but they are just torquey. I understand why everyone hoons these. They all, you know, I mean, this could probably clutch up in third. If I knew how to do a wheelie, I would definitely do it. I've been riding for about 10 years, and wheelies have never crossed my line as something I need. They're more of a want. When I do end up eventually learning how to do that, there'll be a video about that as well, because that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen is the wheelies. It's just so badass how they can hold them. Not me. I'm skilled. I'm not that skilled. But I get the hype behind this bike. It sounds wonderful. It feels wonderful. The power band is insane. It's incredible. It revs to 11 grand, and it just a roll on. Hold on. That's insane. There's so much torque. My 1000 could never. It feels almost immediate at all times. I mean, that was a third gear roll on, which gear indicator, always a plus. That was a third gear roll on, and it felt like I was in first. It's not rip your arm out of the socket, kill you kind of speed. That was a really close turn. All right. It's not, you know, like 150 miles per hour. It's still a naked bike, but the torque is just crazy. There's really no lugging this thing. You just have it. Here, we're going 40 right now. 6th gear. No problem. It's not chuttering. It's not lagging. I could probably still roll on it, and it still pulls like it just wants to go. That's insane. I can't explain it. I went and rode a Ducati, it was a Hyper Motard. Pretty good bike, honestly, overall. It was, you know, it was in the price range. It had an okay background. The guy didn't do the belts and stuff. I guess that's a big Ducati failure point, is like the valves and the belts with the timing gear. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that was a V-twin, something along those lines, like 90 degree, something torquey. And it's supposed to be like the Hoon bike. Everyone remembers the, you know, the Hyper Motard 1100 as like the Hoon bike. All the YouTubers were doing, all the moto vloggers had one of those. That was their little, well, I guess Hyper Motard. And I understood why they liked it. It was just not refined enough for me. It had a lot of issues with, I'm not a dry clutch fan. I know to each their own, but I can't do dry clutches very well. There's just no benefit to me. The automotive world obviously has that, but the motorcycle world doesn't need it. I think it's a gimmick, like a fad, which, like I said, everyone has their own thing. It's just not for me. But I think one of the biggest complaints is it was luggy. It feels like even low RPM or high RPMs, low gear, it felt very luggy. It was just falling on its face after like 6,500 RPM, and that's just not something I enjoy. I like to kind of rev my bikes out and enjoy them a little bit. And it just wasn't an opportunity for that. I also now live in South Carolina, and it's 96 degrees right now, give or take. That bike would have killed me. That first cylinder being right underneath you, I would have melted to death. I'm in uniform 9 times out of 10. So unless I was just out and about having fun, it wasn't a fun ride. I usually use my motorcycles to go to and from work, just because obviously fuel economy, everything else. But it's a fun way to start your day, and it's a not so bad way to end your day. You know, you've been at work all day, you kind of hate it. It's not terrible. But this bike, this is nothing like that. I sat on this one time. I barely got on it, like physically, and I was in love just with the ergonomics by itself. I'm not a tall man. I'm 5'9" on, you know, my best days, and I think it's a 32-inch seat height, but I can flat foot both sides, no problem. That's not something I could do on the Ducati. It's a really tall bike. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. You know, you have ground clearance. This is not meant to jump jumps like that was, I guess. But I couldn't really flat foot it. It wasn't a comfortable experience. And that's kind of the whole point of motorcycles. It's supposed to be a fun, enjoyable time. You know, it shouldn't be a chore, because then it's not fun. When it's not fun, what's the point of doing it? Unless you're some super awesome, like, you know, MotoGP guy, where you're just the baddest of the bad. It doesn't matter about comfort. You're just out here kicking ass, taking names. But that's not the case with me. I ride about, you know, I do the average mileage per year. This year I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm coming from Iowa, which does not have almost anything for riding. I swear it's cold 9 times out of 10. 9 months of the year is cold. It is not motorcycle weather. And all my buddies are now very envious because I'm able to sit on 2 wheels a good 12 months out of the year almost. Unless it's completely sheet hailing down here, I've got no reason not to be on the 2 wheels. But I digress. Back to the motorcycle. Once again, it's a 2015 FZ09. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but it's got tasteful mods. And if I could advocate for anyone to get this, I wouldn't say this is a beginner motorcycle. It's forgiving enough, but you can pull this thing up no problem in second gear, probably third gear. And it's a little twitchy on the throttle, especially when you're just cruising. You hit some bumps. This is pretty crappy roads, you know, down here. So let's see if we can run this really quick. We can. Ugh. But it's a little wobbly. Throttle's a little too twitchy for just like beginner aspect of things. Feels like there's too much right at the brake. That little, you know, 1/4 inch. And you can get some wobbles, but a new beginner, I mean, if you were to whiskey throttle this thing, you're fucked. You're destroyed. If you can hold on, you're getting whipped into something, I promise you. That's why I don't think it'd be a good beginner bike. Intermediate, 100%. Get on this thing, have a blast, have fun with it for years. you'll be good to go. I don't foresee this being a flipper bike. This seems like something I'd hold on to for more than a year, to say the least. I've had a blast with it so far, and it's only been a couple months. I can't thank the guy enough for working with me on the price, and also obviously just having it for sale. He was a really cool guy. Marketplace is kind of where it's at. There's a lot of yays and nays on Marketplace. Give this guy the old 2-finger down. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. But it's see, these bumps are insane. The seat is a little rough on the old tush. I definitely would not be doing an iron butt, just simply for my own sanity. I don't know if you can even hear me right now. I would go insane. Yeah, it's still recording. I would go insane trying to do the iron butt on this thing. I don't think anyone should. It's very flat, it's very stiff, and yet it's still better than the Ducati somehow. Yamaha just knew what was up when it came to their stuff. Oh. I know MSRP for these, the newer ones, really isn't terrible either, so they're definitely in the budget-friendly location. I know a lot of people would like to argue that I paid too much coming in at $5 grand. But I mean, I'm not complaining, so that's kind of what matters the most. You know, your opinion is valid, only to you though. So I appreciate the input that I've gotten, and yeah. This is just a quick little update on the new ride. It's not going to be a too much in-depth. This is kind of the end of it. I really don't have much else to say. Get ready for lots and lots of things. This is going to be the new motovlog setup. This is also a test run for me because I haven't motovlogged in years. Hold on, let's just listen to this. Let's hear what she sounds like. Oh, sounds so good. Just so good. Love it. God, everyone's going so slow today. See if we can do some fun stuff about this. God, it's just a fucking rocket. That's 4th gear. Like half the RPM range. It just just loves it. I do too, so it's a good reason. I definitely say I'd probably put it at like an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely not a perfect motorcycle. I don't know if that's a thing. Motorcycles can be perfect to the person, but not to everybody. With all the mods and everything, this has been a blast, and I fully think that if you can, go ahead and just snatch one up, because it's going to make your life a lot different. If this is your only bike, it works. If it's your secondary bike, it works. This thing just works in a variety of environments, and I think that's what's so great about it. Oh, a lot of bumps, a lot of bumps, a lot of bumps. We're gonna waddle forward. Super, don't waddle. Throw that neutral. I know you're supposed to hold it in first. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, overall, I would say go for it. You got modes. A mode is kind of your 10 out of 10 thrower. Your B mode is kind of like rain, low throttle response. Standard mode is just kind of middle of the line. I usually ride in standard mode just because I don't need all the power all the time. But we can throw it in A, kind of cruise around. It makes it a little twitchier, I feel. It could be placebo effect, but I feel it's a little twitchier on the throttle. I'm trying to get to a place. We're riding in town a little bit, so it's kind of hard to open it up. Like I said, it's not top speed fast, but it's torque fast, and I think to me that's a little more important. I'm getting to that point in my life where maybe I should start thinking of things, you know, longevity, kind of existing for longer than a couple months. And my Gixxer 750 I had was it. I know it's just a 750, but we had sprocketed it, done a couple cool exhaust mods. Nothing crazy. It's not like it's a 1000 or it's going to beat a 1000, but it was pretty powerful. And that thing was nuts. There was no fun in that. The Gixxers alone, they lean so far forward. Wrist was hurting. I'm an old man. My back was hurting. Let's be honest here. But this is good. This is a good mix between fun, power, availability, actual ergonomics. The ergonomics are great. And it just, I rated a 8.5 out of 10. If you can obtain one, I highly recommend it. Let me know down in the comments what you currently ride, and if you've ever thought about having an FZ09, MT09 platform, and if so, what's stopping you or what's motivating you to get that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Peace out.